Thank you.
Short and snappy.
Bish bash bosh. Yeah.
30 minutes, job done.
Whenever you guys are ready.
Cool. So we're rolling. We're on episode 16.
Oh, yeah. 1-6.
Getting close to 20, which is 1/5 of the way towards 100.
We're happy. We're happy.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're doing all right, aren't we? How are you finding things, Morgan? Are we good customers?
Yeah, excellent customers. Excellent customers. You're very good at talking.
There we are.
And that is, that's what we're here for.
Well, this episode is about customers, and it's about the fact that they are not always right.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, which is interesting because I think all businesses need a customer.
Yeah.
And even non-businesses, so like the NHS, their customers are effectively people going in and needing services from them. So like every business or organisation has a customer in some regard. So we are customers of HMRC.
Yeah, we
Rachel
are.
Reeves.
Yeah. You think we get treated fairly for being a customer of HMRC?
Well, as this episode, the customer's not always right. So or are they? We'll debate and discuss that. I think the whole customer feedback kind of cycle and things like that. But I think this is all about business owners respecting themselves.
Yeah.
Actually. And I think that's really key. That's the first big thing is we do a lot of we all work lots of hours, we work really hard. You want your customers to be happy, and ultimately your customers are your ambassadors as well.
Yeah.
So they're going to talk about you. They're going to share the good, the bad, the ugly. So they do, obviously they matter hugely, but to a certain degree, for your own sanity, you've got to have boundaries and lines.
Yes.
It's key. I speak to lots of different businesses, and one of the things I pick up with a couple of people in particular is they've started to realise that they need to respect themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And actually go, no, that doesn't work for me, I'm afraid. So we're going to have to pivot in a different direction. To the point, this one person, they were saying how they'd gone to an appointment to meet a client who has been a slow payer and not paying them on time, and they literally sat outside waiting for the appointment, waited 15 minutes, places locked up, can't get there, and then they're trying to get hold of this client, no response, they leave, they've driven an hour to the location, guy's not turning up, and then the customers message him saying, oh, I'm really sorry, this happened, it's
excuses, disrespectful.
It's disrespectful, especially when someone's travelled. Things pop up, and I am notoriously late a lot of time to meetings, video calls and stuff. Most of the time it's because I've got a meeting that's directly before and I'm just rolling
because you put it all in back to back
because I'm trying to get the most out of the day and all the rest of it. But I might be a customer of a business and it might be a bit disrespectful, but ultimately that's on my time in the sense that I'm paying them for it.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Now
you're paying them on time as well.
It's when customers, they're always going to ask for what suits them.
Yeah.
And me and Morgan were chatting before about me and him scheduling calls and all the rest of it. And his call diary is fully open.
Right. Okay.
But he's saying he wants it to be flexible for the customer, which is the right mindset.
Yeah.
Actually.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But then some customers will be like, "Oh, I want to do this time," and then you might be like, "Well, I can't really make that time work.
Yeah.
This is my availability." So how do you find that, Morgan, managing customers' expectations on your time availability? Do you put boundaries in place?
Yeah, I'm putting more and more boundaries in place as I feel it out. But it tends to be that depending on what I'm booking in, whether or not it's a discovery call or a podcast, I have different kind of levels of flexibility.
Yes.
I'm starting to kind of close down where people can book in, but I'll always tell people, look, if you send me a personal message, and you ask for flexibility, I'm always happy to discuss that and figure out. I've got a client that tends to arrive at 10 p.m. and might want to just run indefinitely, but if they're willing to pay for it and they respect my boundaries and I respect theirs, we can have those levels of flexibility.
So you have someone that come and films a podcast at 10 p.m. at night?
Yeah.
That is
try
mad.
it.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah.
But,
How long does it run for?
It depends. They're very unorganised, so it tends to be that they'll come in and...
Having had a few beers.
Having had a few beers. Or,
really? Oh my God. We don't need to know any more about this.
But in terms of that flexibility, people operate differently, right? You guys love the morning, they love the evening. It tends to be that their guests can only tend to do the evening, and so they've got to kind of work around the guests, but also work around sleeping in very, very late.
Interesting.
So it's all dependent on
different industries
on
and what have you. But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about my relationship with Morgan. Obviously, I'm a customer of Morgan's, and like sometimes my schedule's very challenging. I'm like, oh, can we do 5:36? And we hop around a little bit. But I respect the fact that Morgan isn't just like, yeah, we can do that. Mm-hmm. He's kind of saying, well, no, I've got stuff on this day, so these are the days when I can do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I understand it from sometimes your customers. So for business owners listening, they will be amenable and understand. They're the ones that you want to give some flexibility to.
Yeah.
Because it's reciprocated flexibility.
Correct.
It's the ones that are a nightmare.
They want it all on their own terms.
All on their own terms, not willing to concede on anything.
Yeah.
Not willing to be reasonable. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that can be a bit difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I had somebody on LinkedIn. I was having a conversation with them, and I didn't reply for an hour and a half. And I think they sent me a message going, well, if you're not going to reply, I guess you're not good at what you do. Anyway, a couple of messages later, they said that they were a bit pissed, as in like drunk. And I was like, frankly, you're rude, and I wouldn't want to work with you if you're going to be rude to me. Anyway, I got a personal call the next day to apologise. And you know what? I was like, actually, sometimes putting your kind of foot down to tricky customers. Yeah. It can show that you're willing to not be pushed around as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like in our game, obviously,
Yes,
we're dealing with so Morgan's business or like businesses like Morgan's consultancy business. You might have 10 customers.
Yeah.
We've got hundreds of thousands of customers.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so we actually see society as a whole.
Yeah.
In the sense that there's a small proportion of people that are difficult.
Yeah. And it's always that for us, if you look at, I mean, the biggest thing for us is the feedback the customers give us. Generally, that's through an online portal such as Trustpilot, which is the one that we use. And if you look at the Trustpilot score of our business, for example, Avenue 85, you will see that there is a very, very, very small segment of people that leave a negative review.
Yeah.
Because they might have had an issue with the service level that ever happened, whether it was us
Royal
or the
Mail
carrier.
or DPD or whatever.
And so it was not directly us that made the mistake if it was a delayed delivery on behalf of the carrier, but it was our choice to use that carrier for that parcel, so the customer deems it as us.
And I just don't see. I find it very difficult how unreasonable people can be. So like Royal Mail, like they make mistakes.
Yes.
It's run by humans.
Yeah.
It's run by vehicles that might have an engine problem.
Yeah.
And the vehicle that has your parcel on, it might be sat at the motorway for 4 hours broken down.
Yeah.
These things happen. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the consumer can be really unfair and unreasonable.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. But I mean, those sorts of people are going to be unreasonable throughout life. I believe. As brutal as that is, I think they are. You come across them, you think, this person doesn't just interact that way with me or with our business or your business. It will be with everybody.
Yeah.
They will have a problem with every company they work with or have a service provided from. There'll be a common denominator, and it'll generally be that customer.
It's just relationships with people at the end of the day. And actually, my big thing, and always has been, is I always try and treat people how I want to be treated.
Yeah.
I don't ask of people things that I wouldn't ask of. myself, if that
you would
makes
do
sense.
yourself, yeah.
So like that's my approach.
Yeah.
If then I'm met with hostility
Mm-hmm.
or like a kind of a different tone to the way I've approached it, then I will meet that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think you almost like a mirror.
Yes.
But then it depends. So if you're running a business and you really need that customer, sometimes you might have to bide your time. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So if it's a customer that's a high proportion of your revenue or whatever, maybe in the short term you're going to have to white knuckle it and just get on with it.
Yeah.
But then you need to focus your business on acquiring something that's a bit more easier.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, like your business, I know that a proportion of your customers are on Amazon, eBay.
Yeah.
Which can create challenges because Amazon and eBay can be a bit difficult to deal with.
Very difficult at times.
So they represent some of your customers, and they're maybe a bit more unrealistic, unfair on you. So what you're actively trying to do, you keep them happy, but then at the same time, you're trying to grow your Shopify store.
Yeah, our own channel, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just pivoting your business and adjusting it.
Yeah.
So if you've got a particular customer, maybe he's a Matt Holland and he's very
demanding
and challenging. Well, what you do is you dilute him.
Yeah. Make him a smaller portion of the pie, don't you?
Exactly, yeah. And then you can then be a bit more respectful to yourself.
Yeah.
And say no. Because I think it's about leverage and about creating situations where you're not under pressure and you're not beholden to a single customer or a group of customers, like what I'm referring to with Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon and eBay and such, versus our own channel, the website.
Yeah, because they've got a lot of power.
Yes.
For you, Amazon and eBay have.
Yeah, they do, yeah. They still represent a good portion of the revenue, which is what we're trying to dilute, aren't we? The more we grow our website and take the reliance off that, there's more control.
Yeah, but it's a hard decision.
Yeah.
Like, because what you're dealing with is works, and this particular customer for, say, someone's business, it might be that they've been the breadwinner for that business for a long time, but you shouldn't just have to eat SHIT all the time.
No.
You shouldn't have to like constantly be. It's not the right way of managing relationships, I don't think. So today's episode, obviously we're focusing in on customers. They're not right, they are right. We'll debate that. We've been debating that a little bit there. Just wanted to kind of touch on British business fact of the week.
Okay, go on, hit me.
So in relation to this, Selfridges pulled back its famously generous returns policy in 2022 after realising it was abused. So even one of the most customer-centric UK retailers had to draw the line. So what happened with it? So they used to offer unlimited returns, and it kind of led to unlimited abuse, letting customer goodwill trump logic. And basically they readjusted the returns policy because people were taking advantage. And this is obviously highly relatable to us as we run online retail.
They're not the only business that have done that. I know.
No.
A few sweeping changes in terms of customer service, in terms of returns and free returns in our industry. If you're buying anything online and you want to return the product, famously ASOS was unlimited free returns. They've made a massive change.
Even Amazon used to it used to be so easy to process returns. You still can return things, but the key thing is the customer bears a lot of the costs now.
Yes.
And we've implemented that into our businesses.
As have we, yeah.
So we've set up the rules of engagement. We've adjusted them to be a bit more favourable to ourselves.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. But what we do is we're being fair and reasonable, because what we do is we offer you can have free exchanges.
Yeah.
Or you can have store credit.
Yeah.
But if you're returning it to us for a refund, well, there's a little cost to that.
Yeah.
Which is effectively the returns fee, the handling charge. So it's learning and adapting rules and boundaries with your customers that make sure that, linking back to a couple of episodes ago, that you're profitable.
Yeah.
Because you don't want high maintenance customers, or you have to accept that there's a margin of them. But then you need to put rules of engagement in place so that they have to follow and work in a particular way. It's like me and Morgan won't mind me saying this, there's been a bit of an exchange on WhatsApp about how, and we're getting to know each other, what the best way is of approving the podcast episodes.
Okay, yeah.
So like at the moment we're doing it on WhatsApp, but Morgan obviously gets a lot of WhatsApp messages, so do I. It's not the best channel.
Yeah.
So we need to get a system. So there's been a feedback loop there, and we're getting to a point now where we're probably going to put something in place to make it easier for both of us.
Yeah, good.
But it's having the confidence to say that to your customer and say, like, hold on a minute, Matt, is there any way, rather than you just chucking the feedback in this WhatsApp chat, could you present it to me in a more considered way?
Yeah.
So it might be that we use, say, a Google Doc.
Yeah.
And we both have access to it, and there's just little show note updates whenever any edits need to be made, then just put it in relation to the episode number. And I think that's the key, is having the confidence in your business to dictate to your customers, like, hold on, I'm not available at 9 p.m. at night.
Yeah,
or 10 p.m. at night. Yeah. So like this particular client that a business may have, they might be dictating the 10 p.m. to Morgan, and that might work for Morgan. It might be actually that the difficult customer for Morgan is us, turning up at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Like Morgan's business, it might be the case that he wants to target that particular thing. But over time, what he'll end up doing is having more customers that will match the profile that he wants.
Yeah, of his business.
Then he'll have the confidence to kind of turn things down a little bit in other areas, and it's that balance in every business, isn't it?
Yeah, finding the right balance between you and the customer. Like you said a second ago there about the rules of engagement, like as long as it's clear from the off, that expectations of the customer and expectations of the business service provider, whatever you want to call it, everyone knows the
well, that's why we have contracts.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and actually, that's why, because I've been on the receiving end of, like, I mean, pay-per-click agencies as an example. We've been through a few. I know you've been through a couple now.
Yeah.
We're both working with the same one at the moment. We love them. They're great people.
Yeah, fantastic.
Shout out to Lisa, Ryan, and is it Paul? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Great
Paul.
people, great guys. Love them to bits, and they do a fantastic job for us.
Yeah, and for us.
But entering into that relationship, I'm not signing a pay-per-click contract ever again in my life.
No.
Because I've had my fingers burnt with agencies where they'll promise results. You sign a 12-month contract with them.
Yeah.
And then they deliver SHIT.
Yeah.
So it works both ways.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to provide your customers with a good level of service and a high-quality service. And because otherwise, it's actually, it's like self-evident. If you're hearing loads of noise from your customers, they're all whinging and moaning, well, maybe actually you need to listen to them.
Yeah. Listen to that feedback and adapt your service or business based off what they're telling you to do.
Yeah.
Because they're telling you where you're going wrong, in essence, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's not the case that all customers are problems. So
No.
The reason the feedback there is like, so you've got to listen and work out, is the feedback reasonable?
Is it warranted and reasonable? Yeah.
Is it warranted and reasonable? But going back to that friend of mine where they'd pulled up, person wasn't there and all the rest of it, I have massive respect for the person, because what they said was, I sacked the customer.
Good on them.
I was like, well done.
Yeah.
I said that, well done. I said, you've got to, and like, they're in a position in their journey where actually they could do with the revenue. They're quite early on. But I was like, you're setting the right boundaries.
Yeah. Respecting themselves.
So they removed themselves from the WhatsApp group with the business, and they just sent a message saying, we're done.
Yeah.
Best of luck for the future.
Yeah.
Sick of having to chase your invoices, and there was time incurred.
Yeah.
And because unfortunately, like there is in every proportion of society and life, if you're a business to business in the sense your customers are businesses, there's bad eggs there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad business owners that are knobheads.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, they're going to be there.
They're going to be there because it's representative of society.
Yeah.
It's the way it is. I mean, how do your team deal with bad customers?
Well, it's quite interesting, really. So we've got 2 people in customer service, both fantastic. Both are very customer-centric as well. So although they work for Avenue 85, they're always approaching problems with a customer-first mindset.
Yeah.
So what we need to keep the customer happy. If they've got any, generally it's going to be, where's my item, or we sent them the wrong item in error, or there was a fault with the product. Most issues, customer issues, can be resolved with communication and basically doing the right thing, isn't it? So I full trust in them to resolve any issues within reason. But there's certain instances where they've highlighted to me there's been abuse of certain policies, maybe the returns policy or the warranty on a product, and those are the ones that really, as a business, you've got to draw the line and stand up for yourself to be like, well, actually, sorry, you've had the product for 3 years and it's fair wear and tear, you know, with an issue with a product, if it may start to fall apart or whatnot. Not that many do, obviously. So yeah, we do face some, but it's just dealing with them in the right manner, and it is the minority, but they will take up a lot of the time and resource, and therefore cost.
And I think businesses have to accept that you are going to have to incur time, cost, and money in dealing with that small proportion.
Yeah.
No business is not going to have is going to have no bad customers. You're going to have bad customers or difficult ones. Mm-hmm. Like you say, our approach are obviously similar things. Like we're an 8-figure business, just like you are. We're doing big numbers, or what can be perceived big numbers, but we're a small family-run business. Like in the grand scheme of things, we're not that big.
Yeah,
like we're an SME still.
Yeah.
So the directors, like me, my sister, my brother, we care.
Yeah.
So we constantly have chats with customer service manager, like Danny, my operations manager. He now manages the customer service team via Melissa, who's fantastic as well. Mm-hmm. And like when we hear about customers being rude to our customer service team,
take it personally yourself.
I have no tolerance for it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, reject the calls.
Yeah.
Don't speak to them. Give them the money back. We don't want their money.
Yeah.
If they want to buy from us again, they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
We respect ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I'm not having my staff being abused.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not having. If people are being horrible on email or verbally abusive on the phone, not having it. Mm-hmm. And I think take that into your own business.
Yeah.
Like, don't take SHIT from customers.
No. Respect yourself.
Respect yourself, but then also do listen to them initially and learn from it, and maybe. Well, obviously, if they're being disrespectful, just don't speak to them again. Just like cut losses, give them money back, walk away. But some customers, they want to be listened to.
Yeah.
Like they're the biggest opportunity for all business. Mm-hmm. Like you can learn so much from asking your customers to provide feedback.
Yeah.
Big thing we're doing at the moment is whenever we have a customer service interaction, we ask the customer to leave us a review on Trustpilot.
Good. That's really good.
So if there's been an exchange with the customer service team, we ask the customer service team, whoever it is, whether it's because obviously we've got some people in the Philippines responding to tickets, and we've got UK staff. UK staff are on the phones and they do physical, and then we've got a minority of people in the Philippines. But if we provide good experience, like we say, please can you provide feedback here?
Yeah.
Like it means a lot to our business.
Yeah, it does. Adds that credibility and lets people know the level of service you're providing is above and beyond most companies.
Yeah, I think as well. What I'm just thinking out loud now. Maybe we should have a survey link where for customers that are unhappy, provide them with a survey link so they can like. If you've not had a good experience, please can you provide feedback here?
Yeah, tell us why.
And it might funnel out some of the negativity that ends up onto Trustpilot as well. That's just a little thought there.
Yeah,
maybe
good idea.
Go and deploy that.
When you get back.
Tomorrow, yeah, I'm very passionate about providing good service. Very passionate about it. And I find it very irritating and frustrating and maybe I'm a difficult customer, but if I don't receive good service from a business, I'm very vocal about it.
Yeah.
Because I want them to do well.
Yeah.
I want them to do well. Like when I'm working with a third party, then I'm like, come on, guys, you dropped the ball there. We could have done this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I normally bypass who I'm dealing with. I go straight to the owner, and I'm like, FYI.
Yeah, this isn't good enough.
If I can, obviously, if it's someone like that I can't reach the owner of.
Yeah, it's going to be the case, isn't it?
Then I just don't bother. Mm-hmm. I'm just like banging my head against a wall.
Yeah.
But small businesses, I think making yourself accessible to feedback is massive. So, Morgan, question for you. Do you have any clients that you should have fired sooner?
apart from us.
Apart from that Holland.
Yeah.
Good question. I don't think so. I think...
Yeah.
I think the challenge is I always end up being persuaded by money with clients.
Fair enough.
You dirty pirate.
If the money's high enough, I will be very tolerant.
Yeah.
But the moment that the money is questionable, or like I'm not sure, I'm like how much am I going to have to chase it? Then I'm like, okay. I think more recently I've been getting less and less tolerant, and so I am more likely to draw lines. But the nice thing is that I've seen as I've drawn lines, they've been respected, and I think it's very easy to be overly flexible and keep getting taken advantage of. But actually, people respect the fact that you go, right, no, that's it, that's the line. And they go, oh, okay, there's the line. But they just assume you're not going to place a line, so they'll just keep pushing. And so I think people actually they respect it a lot when you do place a line down pretty hard.
Definitely.
And they see you as having higher value as well, because you've got higher value in yourself. So you almost, I mean, if you're starting out and you're able to, as long as you're delicate about how you do it, if you put firm lines down, it gives the perception you've been going longer than you have.
Yeah, more seasoned.
Yeah, I think you gain that experience of learning. It's unfortunate actually that a lot of small business owners you have to go through the process. What Morgan has described there, he's had to learn.
Yeah, is the journey.
True.
You've gone on the journey.
So
you've
gone on the journey of having a couple of difficult customers where you've learned to then put boundaries in place. When you're starting out, you want those customers and you're willing to do anything for them.
Yeah.
So I think if you listen to this podcast, big takeaway point, like respect yourself.
Yeah.
Put boundaries in place early on.
Yeah.
Maybe even have like almost like an SLA, a service level agreement with your customers. So to make it clear, like what I do for you is this, you do for me is this. These are the boundaries. These are the rules of engagement, if you like.
Yeah.
Like I think having that makes it really clear and easy to understand.
Yeah.
I think it's also, and this goes for being self-employed, having a company, or even being employed, is making sure that when you go over and above the job description, you make it clear that you're doing that.
Yeah.
And so that it's actually appreciated as opposed to taken advantage of, because what you want to be able to do is turn around a month later and go, right, okay, so I would really help with this. Obviously, I made it clear that I went over and above for you, as opposed to them just thinking that you were within the remit. You've actually done them a big favor. And so you can still be flexible with clients, just make sure the communication's correct.
Yeah, I think it comes back to that reciprocation.
Yes.
Which Morgan has described eloquently there, like that kind of concept of like,
thank you,
help people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Be nice, be kind. And then if you're not met with kindness and niceness, then you kind of respect yourself.
Yeah, you know where to move on.
Put boundaries in place, and then within those boundaries, be kind and courteous and be helpful and be friendly. So I think one of the big things that we've taken away is like the concept of boundaries, enforcing them, setting them, being fair and reasonable with your customer. Big thing that we didn't really touch on, but I think is really important in relation to if you're in a business where you are not the person managing your customer. ChatGPT has said empowering your team to say no.
Yeah.
And also to say yes as well.
Yeah.
But giving people the authority to make certain decisions and calls themselves. Like I encourage our customer service team to respect themselves. Like I think they obviously they care about what they do and they want to please people, but don't be like too kind to unreasonable people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you get taken advantage of. Ultimately.
Setting the boundaries.
Yeah.
Like if someone is rude on the phone to you, like go, just say, I appreciate things are frustrating, but if you raise your voice like that at me again, I'm going to terminate the call.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I think and actually, like Morgan said earlier, like people will respect that a little bit because they might go, do you know what, I'm sorry. Or they might double down and then you go, bing, F off.
Yeah, it's just about it's that polite approach to it where you say it firmly, but you're not shouting at them. And they have the opportunity to make the right decision. If you just demonize somebody, they'll run in the other direction no matter what.
Yeah. I mean, I said earlier about how you kind of, you treat people how you want to be treated, you kill them with kindness, but then there's a mirror and you will match it to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So like if someone's going to be unreasonable with you, then like you do need to be fair. You need to match that intensity with firmness.
Yeah.
But it needs to be fair and kind and reasonable as well. So you don't fight fire with fire.
No.
You fight fire with water, but at the same level of veracity, like same amount of fierceness, if that makes sense. You've got to meet it full on, but combat it.
Yeah.
And be reasonable. I think like the customer is not always right. We need to set boundaries. I think we also need to listen, raise our standards as well, improve.
Yeah. Off the feedback the customer's giving you.
Yeah. Yeah, big. And ultimately remember that customer's not right, not always right, but it's important. It depends where you are in your journey. That's the key thing, I think, as well. it depends. Like we obviously, you don't want to like crawl over broken glass for them, and like, but sometimes we need customers even if they're not great. So it's like, it's that balance, isn't it? Because if you strike out and you're like, right, well, I'm not dealing with this person, I'm not dealing with that person, maybe you should think and go, maybe is it me?
Yeah, am I the common denominator in all of this?
Yeah,
is the problem actually me, not the customer?
Yeah,
That can be the case.
yeah. Stakeholder management is quite a big thing, I would say, leading on from this is like, so you've got your customers who are a stakeholder in your business, but then you've got other like employees and people like that, and like they all impact each other.
Yeah.
So you've got to create this like positive ecosystem around, and actually if customers are getting frustrated, maybe we need to liaise with the employees to say like, how can we prevent this from happening? What systems can we change and improve within the business?
Yeah.
Because if there's customers are moaning about this particular thing, well, why are they?
Yeah. Identify it.
Yeah. Because while customers are not always right, they are right a lot of the time.
Yeah. 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 That's a good point.
So, like, what we're saying, the main purpose of this episode is to say, like, respect yourself.
Yes.
But also, customers, they're giving you feedback. Use the feedback to make your business better. Yeah.
Listen to that feedback and share it with the wider team.
Yeah.
What you're saying. And see, actually, is it valid?
Yeah.
The points they're making or the criticisms of the product or the service.
Yeah.
And how can you improve that?
It's big. It is a big topic. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it off there. Short and snappy episode this week. But, I mean, how are you finding the podcast overall at the moment, Tom?
No, I'm enjoying it, to be honest. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying spending the time here with yourself and Morgan and the people that are listening as well. Hopefully they're getting some value out of this.
Yeah.
I know I've had a few people reach out to me. I know you've mentioned already as well. A few people reach out to you to say, listen to that, took this away from it, enjoying it, etc., which is great.
I've got a question for you guys.
Go on.
What would an ideal guest look like?
Ooh.
That's a good question. I think if and when we get guests on, which we are going to get guests on, I either want it to be about a topic where the guest has authority to discuss on the topic. So if you're listening and you think you fit that category and you think we could revisit a topic and you've got some insights, drop me a message, we could get you on. But then something I want to do, ideally on a monthly basis eventually, is like business stories.
Yeah.
A little bit like Tom's episodes that we filmed 2 of. There'll be a third that we do, I think, to cover the modern day side of your business. But if you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, and you feel like you've got a story to tell, get in touch. Because we'd love to have you on, and it doesn't matter how big or small you are. Like, I think I'd be up for talking to someone who's like running a coffee shop and like learning about their challenges and like how and why they got into business. I think that'd be really insightful.
It would.
Maybe get Morgan on to talk about all his many entrepreneurial ideas and businesses at some point. But yeah, and to be nondescript, any business owner that wants to just come on and have a chat, with open invitation, get in touch, really.
I mean, I'd be very intrigued to almost get a listener on, like get their opinions live and almost what they've learnt from it and what they've taken away. I'd love to hear.
That's a good perspective actually as well. So someone that maybe, because the other thing is we've had people listen to the podcast that are not necessarily business owners.
Okay, good.
So obviously we've had employees listen to it, and like Danny, my ops manager, he says he finds it really insightful. Kind of, he's begun to understand the psychology of me a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
Like why I say certain things and the way I say them and all the rest of it. So that's been helpful.
Yeah.
It's actually helped me manage him more effectively.
Good. Yeah, it was.
and help him deal with me and my BS and all the rest of it. But yeah, I think it's quite interesting. The other thing, I was looking at the demographics, Morgan. I don't know if you've glanced at them at all, but even though it's British business with Matt Holland, we're getting a bit of an international audience. So some of the traffic on YouTube and stuff is from the US.
Oh, nice.
Which people, like, we're naturally curious beasts, people in general, but business owners and entrepreneurs, we want to learn.
Yeah.
So, like, we're obviously watching and listening to podcasts that are very American audience.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of transferable. The reason we call the podcast British Business is because we're passionate about the UK and we are specific to that, but there's a lot of crossover internationally
across
as well.
The water. Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. But yeah, I think we're gonna work towards getting some guests on. Definitely, that's something for the future.
I think it would be very interesting if any viewers / listeners, if they've got a certain type of business and they would like they'd like to hear somebody with the same type of business on the podcast, and we could go out and try and find somebody. So like you said, you know, if somebody owns a coffee shop that's a listener, like they may go, look, can you get somebody with a coffee shop on, and pose this question to them. So if you have a business and you want advice within that field, we could go find somebody with a similar business and hopefully, you know, help you with a problem.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we'll work on that. That's some homework for me to work on.
Yeah. Some prep for you out there.
Some targets.
Some outreach to get some guests.
But equally, I think the process of us just having chats, I think I've had some really great feedback from people reaching out, like people who I've never interacted with.
Yeah, good.
Have just said, like, I've stumbled upon your podcast. We had that, I can't remember his name now. I'll have to check out afterwards. We'll give him a shout out on another episode. But a guy messaged me on LinkedIn, not connected with him, and he was just like, hey, Matt, just wanted to say, really enjoy your podcast. I've been walking around X trade show today, and I've just had it on in the background. I found it really fun and entertaining. It's real and authentic. And that was just really nice to hear.
Yeah.
So I think we are, like, some of the top... the main thing is I think people can take away little snippets and bits and pieces, and it's really helpful for them, hopefully.
Yeah, that's all we want.
And for us, we just get to have some time out of the business and chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Nice and casual. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you comment, like, and you subscribed on YouTube and following us on Spotify. Really appreciate it. Cheers, Morgan. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.